Welcome back to our channel, where we uncover the hidden empires, dynasties, and untold stories behind the world's wealthiest and most powerful families. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Now, picture this. A family so powerful, they don't need to flaunt private jets or golden thrones. Instead, they control a nation through quiet influence, strategic institutions, and decades of legacy. This isn't fiction. This is Singapore, and this is the story of the Lee family, often called the Trillionaire family, not for their net worth, but for their unimaginable control over one of the world's richest and most tightly run nations. Buckle up, because today, we're diving deep into the dynasty that doesn't just govern Singapore, they own the blueprint. This is the story of the Trillionaire family that doesn't just influence Singapore, they are Singapore. In the heart of Southeast Asia lies a city-state renowned for its gleaming skyline, world-class infrastructure, and a reputation for unmatched efficiency and order, Singapore. But behind its transformation from a struggling post-colonial trading port into a global economic powerhouse lies the steady hand of a family whose influence rivals that of monarchs and magnates. Though the term trillionaire may be hyperbolic in financial terms, in influence, control, and legacy, there is no family more synonymous with modern Singapore than the Lee family. This is the story of the Lee dynasty, a family often dubbed Singapore's royal family, whose founding patriarch, Lee Kuan Yew, not only built a nation from scratch but laid the foundation for a tightly controlled system where economic might and political stability are inseparable. Some argue that the Lee family doesn't just govern Singapore, they own it in spirit, strategy, and structure. The rise of Lee Kuan Yew, architect of modern Singapore. Lee Kuan Yew was not born into royalty, but his legacy would shape a republic as if he were. Born in 1923 to a middle-class Straits Chinese family, Lee was a Cambridge-educated lawyer with a vision for Singapore that transcended colonial limitations. In 1959, he became Singapore's first prime minister, and he would hold that position for 31 uninterrupted years. In 1965, after a short-lived merger with Malaysia, Singapore was expelled and forced to stand alone. With no natural resources, high unemployment, and racial tensions threatening to erupt, Lee Kuan Yew took an iron-fisted yet visionary approach. He modernized the economy, built world-class public housing, and attracted foreign investment. But most importantly, he created a political system that ensured the continuity of his vision, often by suppressing dissent and centralizing power. He wasn't just leading a country. He was building a family dynasty. The institutional web. Control by design. One of the most extraordinary feats of the Lee family is how they have institutionalized control through strategic placements within government, sovereign wealth funds, and state-owned enterprises. These institutions don't just run Singapore, they define its economic model. At the heart of this empire are two sovereign wealth giants, Temasek Holdings, a state-owned investment company with a portfolio of over $400 billion USD. GIC, Government of Singapore Investment Corporation, managing well over $700 billion USD in assets globally. While not privately owned by the Lee family, these institutions have long been managed by political elites and civil servants loyal to the ruling People's Action Party, PAP, which the Lee family built and still controls. Temasek's former CEO, Ho Ching, is none other than the wife of Lee Hsien Loong, Lee Kuan Yew's son and the country's prime minister from 2004 to 2024. Lee Hsien Loong, crown prince turned prime minister. When Lee Kuan Yew stepped down, he didn't disappear. He remained as senior minister, and later, minister mentor, effectively guiding the government behind the scenes. His son, Lee Hsien Loong, took the reins as prime minister in 2004, continuing the family's vision with military-like discipline and technocratic precision. Lee Hsien Loong, a former brigadier general, held key roles in the Ministry of Finance and the Monetary Authority of Singapore before becoming PM. Under his rule, Singapore saw continued growth, rising global rankings in education, innovation, and business friendliness. But the question many asked was, is Singapore still a democracy, or has it become a dynastic technocracy? With Ho Ching heading Temasek and Lee Hsien Loong leading the government, critics often pointed to a conflict of interest. But in a tightly run ship like Singapore, opposition voices rarely gain traction. The wealth question. How rich is the Lee family? Here's where the trillionaire myth starts to make sense, not in dollars, but in influence over trillions of dollars. The Lee family doesn't need personal yachts and sprawling estates to be powerful. They wield something far more potent: access and control over a system that influences nearly every financial artery of the nation. Temasek and GIC control major stakes in DBS Bank, Singtel, Singapore Airlines, Capitaland, and dozens of strategic national assets. While the Lee family doesn't personally own these institutions, their family legacy and political machinery have embedded them deeply into the country's corporate DNA. In effect, the Lee family doesn't own Singapore the way a tycoon owns a company. They designed the operating system, and it runs according to their code. Critics and cracks in the legacy. While many Singaporeans revere the Lee family for delivering stability, prosperity, and safety, others question the cost. Dissenting political voices have been silenced, opposition parties marginalized, and media tightly regulated. Notably, Lee Kuan Yew, the younger son of Lee Kuan Yew, broke ranks with the family. In a stunning public feud over their father's house at 38 Oxley Road, he accused his brother, Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, of misusing power for personal gain. The once tightly unified family was suddenly exposed, and Singaporeans were given a rare glimpse into the fractures behind the pristine facade. Lee Hsien Loong eventually fled Singapore, citing fears of political persecution. His departure marked the first time a high-profile Lee openly challenged the family's hegemony. The future of the dynasty. In 2024, Lawrence Wong succeeded Lee Hsien Loong as Prime Minister, ending a two-generation rule. While not a Lee by blood, Wong is a long-serving PAP member and considered a trusted lieutenant of the family's ideology. Whether this marks the end of the dynasty or simply a rebranding of it remains to be seen. The Lee family may no longer hold the top office, but their legacy is baked into every layer of Singapore's governance, from its education system to its economic engine. Their influence, if not their name, will echo for generations. Legacy or soft autocracy? Some call it a benevolent dictatorship. Others see it as the gold standard for governance. Regardless of perspective, one truth is undeniable: the Lee family's blueprint for Singapore has worked. The city-state has one of the world's highest GDPs per capita, near zero corruption, and some of the best infrastructure on the planet. But in a world awakening to the dangers of dynastic rule and concentrated power, Singapore stands as a curious case. Can a nation built by a family continue to thrive when that family steps back? Or has the Lee dynasty achieved something far greater than wealth? A nation that, for better or worse, will forever carry their fingerprint? The phrase, trillionaire family, may not mean what it does in a Forbes list, but when it comes to control, legacy, and national identity, few families anywhere on earth have shaped a country the way the Lees have shaped Singapore. They didn't just build a city. They engineered a legacy, one that may outlive their name, but never their influence. So the next time you admire Singapore's clean streets, booming economy, or strict order, remember, behind it all lies a dynasty that may never wear a crown, but rules in every sense of the word. The Lee family didn't just build a modern city. They built a legacy of power, precision, and quiet dominance. Whether you see them as visionary leaders or soft autocrats, there's no denying their imprint on Singapore is permanent. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. What do you think about the Lee dynasty, visionary leadership or carefully crafted control? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching Infinite Lux, where wealth meets power, and every story reveals the empire behind the elegance. See you in the next one.